Hello everyone and welcome to Don't Be Bored and to Tabletop Tea Time. This is the monthly show where I invite creators on to talk about a various board gaming topic. We ramble on for a little bit of time about some game or some topic that we are passionate about, and this month it's all about older games. Now, I did make the stipulation that the game had to be at least 10 years old. But actually, when you start looking at how many modern popular games are at least 10 years old, that was still quite a wide sort of cast of the net. But let's jump into it and see what some people have picked.
Hi, I'm Barb, Meeple PhD, and today we're talking all about the older games. It's tempting, of course, to always jump on the new stuff, and I am just as guilty as anybody else. But I do also enjoy a lot of older games in my collection. And in fact, my favorite game of all time is Dungeon Pets, which is from 2011. But I thought today I would talk about the oldest game in my collection that still regularly makes it to the table, and that is Catan card game. This is a two-player implementation of Catan, and one that, frankly, I like a lot better than Catan. In this game, you have all of the things that are familiar in Catan. You're building roads, you're building settlements, you're upgrading those settlements into cities. Each turn you have a die roll, and that will do some production for both players. You also have knights that you are collecting. So you've got that part of the game, and whoever has the strongest army will get an extra point. And you're playing to, I don't remember if it's 10 or 12 points in this game, but it's a similar thing where you are racing to a certain number of points. But in this game, I feel less like I can screw myself up with the first placement of my first settlement. Instead, I'm randomly dealt resource cards that will produce on various rolls of the die. And it's only a single die, 1 to 6. And so you will have, maybe my sheep will produce on a 3, but my partners will produce on a 6. The other thing this does is instead of focus on that, board where you're moving around and placing your settlements, you have cards in your hand that will do various things. There are events that take place that, you can screw up each other a little bit, but you also have those knights. Those are going to be cards in your hand. And then in your settlements and your towns, you can build buildings that will upgrade them in some way. So, maybe you'll have a library that gives you an extra card in your hand. And you also have things that might protect you from the brigands that come up, which are similar to the robber in the base game. And so, you have the feeling of Catan here, but to me, it feels less punishing. It's a little bit quicker, although it is always longer than I expect that it's going to be. And it's a two-player only, which is perfect for me. Most of my games are played at two-player. And so Catan, the card game, I think this actually is now Catan Duel or something like that, but it still exists in some form. This one is one that regularly comes to the table. I will suggest it sometimes for my partner and we will play. And so that is probably the oldest game on my shelf that regularly gets to the table. I'm looking forward to seeing some other older gems that others have to talk about. You can find me on Instagram as MeeplePhD. I have a blog at meeplephd.com, and I also have my own YouTube channel, which you can head over there and get some content about board games and astronomy. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy your tea time.
Hey everybody, I'm Evan, and today I'm going to show you a game that you've probably never heard of. It's my firm belief that true hardcore gamers play mass market games from 34 years ago that are based on failed children's cartoons. So today we're going to be talking about Swamp Thing Battle for the Bayou. It is an exciting Swamp Thing adventure. Let's go down to the table and I'll show you how it works. And here is Swamp Thing Battle for the Bayou game. In this game, it comes with a beautifully illustrated board, some very generic player pawns, a very basic D6, a deck of 8 hero cards, and this big deck of Swamp Thing cards, which include movement and escape cards. So you take these hero cards, stick them over here. You deal 3 of these Swamp Thing cards to each player. And, of course, they start over here on the start. And you're ready to play the game. So these cards here are actually movement cards. So they dictate how many spaces you can move. You are given a hand of 3 of them, and then every turn, after your turn, I believe, you can draw another one. So you have a shocking amount of control for a mass market game. The idea is you have to get all the way to Dr. Anton Arcane, roll a 6, and he is defeated. However, there are certain things that can help you. There are other, like, villains you may need to defeat, like Weed Killer is here, but if you have the Weed Killer card, you can escape from him. There are also in this deck some sort of like take that cards where you move another player, either way you want, because ideally you're going to want to move them into a hazard. And there's a lot of hazards like Acid Rainfall, and you go back to the start. And Weed Killer dumps toxic chemicals into the water supply, return to start. And, there's these villains here, like Skin Man awaits you in the tree tops, roll 5 or more. Or, I don't know, what else do we have here? Weed Killer showers you with chemical poison, and you have to roll a 4 or more. But being that you have a hand of cards, you can actually maybe sort of ignore that. Okay, but if you notice there's these blue spaces that say draw a hero card. And these hero cards are critical to winning the game. So this allows you to play a card from another player's hand. Tomahawk here helps you move an extra space. But then you get to these ones that have the multiple characters on it, Tomahawk and Bayou Jack. And these allow you to add a number to your die. So if you can make it through the game collecting hero cards, by the time you get to Anton Arcane here, and you have to roll a 6, and if you've got a few of these, it's really not all that hard. So, and that's basically the game. It's super cool looking. It's, it's a mass market game from 1991. So there's only so much you can expect, but I think it does some things that make it quite enjoyable. So let's go back up top, and I'll tell you what I think about it. And there you have it. There's Swamp Thing, Battle for the Bayou game. What a fantastic game, huh? So as far as mass market games, it's actually not that bad. Sure, there are some aspects of the game that are based on die rolls, which is beating those unmen bosses kind of at various points of the game. But as far as like a roll and move type game, well, it's not, because what you would expect from like something like this, it is you actually have a hand of cards with different movement on it. So there are slight decisions as far as your movement. You're not just kind of beholden to whatever you roll, and hopefully you don't get stuck in doing something that you don't want to do. So for that, I applaud this. I am a old school Swamp Thing fan. This was, I love this comic as a kid. I love this movie as a kid. One of my all-time favorites. I ended up meeting Adrienne Barbeau at a convention, and I geeked out and embarrassed myself, told her that movie changed my life. Here's a picture of us. You look at the smile on my face. But yeah, so I love Swamp Thing. I love this game. I love the vibrancy of the colors on this game. This cartoon is pretty stupid. I don't know why they kind of tried to make kind of a mature, thoughtful comic into this goofy environmentalist kids cartoon. But you know what? It's funny. So I have a lot of Swamp Thing things in my collection. My wife ended up getting this game for me many, many years ago before I was back into board gaming. And I'm sure glad she did, because you know what? It's a fun game. I don't care what anybody says. And these types of games, if you know me, I like them once in a while. So yeah. So thanks for watching. If you want to know where you can get a copy of this, well, you can go to eBay, and there are some pretty reasonable priced games, copies of this on there. And I don't know, maybe you want this in your collection too. So yeah, Thanks for watching. Thanks for having me. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your tea time, and we'll see you next month.
So, scrolling down my Board Game Geek collection, trying to look at games that are at least 10 years old, well, it quite quickly jumped out at me that there was a couple that really stand out for me, and some that I really did not expect to be 10 years old. Seven Wonders, for instance, I know there's just been like a second edition, but it still feels weird that Seven Wonders came out over 10 years ago. A fantastic card game that I really do enjoy in my collection. I keep coming back to it. They've just released the dice version, which you can check my review out on that one. I didn't necessarily think too much of that for me personally, but what a fantastic drafting card game, and one that I would still easily recommend. It's not the only high-rated game from 10 years ago in my collection though. I would easily say Viticulture, the Essential Edition one, which came out in 2015, is another representation of a incredible game from a genre for Seven Wonders. It's one of the best drafting games, I'd say kind of still. Viticulture is still thought as a fantastic worker placement game, and I love all the stuff that the Viticulture Tuscany expansion and the Essential Edition stuff does. The Grande Meeple is a sort of, well, it feels at the time when you play it like a breath of fresh air to worker placement games, and then you think, yeah, can a breath of fresh air really be over 10 years old? It's quite a dusty air. But that's a really cool thing, that your worker placement slot is blocked. Well, once a round, you get to go to somewhere still. That's a really cool feature, and the fact that this game is logical. You're putting grapes in fields, harvesting them, then turning the grapes into the wine, selling it, or if you're like me, trying to come up with a dodgy strategy that means you don't actually sell any wine, but you give lots of people a taste of wine, and that's enough victory points. Jumping back to 2000, 25 years ago, Carcassonne released. Now, I didn't actually pick it up in 2000, but it is, again, another representation of a genre that you're still struggling to beat it as like the king of the hill of tile placement games. I think there's other games that do tile placement in really cool ways, but it's not just a tile placement game sort of thing. That is what Carcassonne is. It's all about that tile placement and then putting something on to score certain features. It's not like Terraforming Mars where it's a mere aspect of a bigger game. There's still something satisfying about playing Carcassonne, putting those tiles down, finding that tile that perfectly fits that hole otherwise that's in the map, that maybe completes your city and has that wiggly bit of a road that you weren't sure there was any of those tiles left in the pile. And it's a really easy game to teach, and one that we still happily play. To the extent I was really happy when I went to Spiel this year and bought the sort of promo tile to add into the collection for Spiel 25, a sort of a cool road tile, because I love it when then those extra tiles come out, the mazes, the promo tiles, and then you throw one or two expansions in. One day maybe I'll throw all the expansions in, but today is not that day. And then for me, the oldest game that I have highly rated in the collection is Pitch Car. It is a fantastic dexterity game that, yes, I think over time I've come to realise you don't want to be playing this when there's 3-4 of you. You want this when you've got that 6-8 players. You make this sort of almost like a Formula 1 track, a race track with curves and jumps, so maybe less Formula 1, more rally, and then you are flicking these discs around the map, over jumps, trying to get round corners. Some of them, oh, we don't have like a crash barrier around this corner, so if you go off and you have to start back where you were. And then other corners, oh, it's got that sort of on the edge, so I can try and bounce off it, and I'm a bit safer. I could flick a little bit harder and hope I still sort of get the direction right. Pitch Car is a fantastic dexterity game that you should definitely try, although I do realise it's quite expensive still to this day and age, even to pick up second hand, because they're wooden tiles for the track. But there we have it, that has been some old games, and it blows my mind that Seven Wonders can in some way kind of actually be referred to as old. And then completely blown that Carcassonne is 25 years old. It's actually only 9 years younger than I am, which that feels wrong and just not right. But anyway, let us know in the comment section below what game that's old in your collection stands out for a good or a bad reason, and is 10 years long enough to consider a game old? Let us know in the comment section below, and while you're going to go down to comment, please check out the description box, because it will have the links to the creators that were very kind to join me on today's show. So please do go check them out, subscribe here, subscribe there, and well, share the YouTube love. And until next time, thanks for watching.